It makes the discovery process more transparent, more prompt, and more responsive to the discovery of new evidence.
The Michael Morton Act, named after the Williamson County man who wrongfully spent nearly 25 years in prison for the murder of his wife, all because of withheld evidence. State lawmakers worked last session to make sure the defense now has every piece of evidence possible. But those good intentions might have a negative side effect. Police and prosecutors tell us they're spending a lot of time and resources on minor criminal cases, where that much evidence just might not be necessary. And as KXAN investigator Robert Maxwell discovered, that drain on resources could someday come at the expense of your safety.
At a crime scene, once the adrenaline stops pumping, our police become professional evidence collectors. Everything from clothing to drugs and weapons.
In Travis County, trial attorneys are used to looking at that kind of physical evidence. That's because of a long-standing open file policy where prosecutors share what they have with defense attorneys. But under the Michael Morton Act, the very definition of what constitutes evidence and how it's gathered is suddenly far more broad.
The Act now requires prosecutors not only to make an inventory of evidence, but to seek out anything a defense attorney might need for every single criminal case. In Travis County alone, that's 12,500 felonies a year. 40% of those are violent crimes. There are also more than 40,000 misdemeanor cases for more minor offenses like jaywalking or public intoxication, to a traffic ticket or a first-time drunk driving offense. And the virtual laundry list of what's now required is no longer limited to a simple police report or a witness statement. It now involves things like rounding up an officer's handwritten notes and getting all dash cam video marked and archived. And as the call load creeps up, department bosses predict the task of gathering every shred of evidence could cut into an officer's already limited time between calls.
I'm not going to be waiting longer for a police officer in Austin because of this act.
Calls are prioritized, and depending on how many come in, you know, when you have the ones that are of a lower priority, yes, those take a little bit longer to get to, and potentially those calls could hold a little bit longer.
And if you have to report a crime, Police Chief of Staff Raul Munguia won't come right out and say APD will pull detectives from the mix, but
in particular, you know, you may have to divert some of those resources that you already have to take on this new responsibility, and the impact on the other end is that it may take a little bit longer to get your case investigated.
Before the court today for the offense of driving while intoxicated.
And those slowdowns are rippling to our courtrooms too, as both prosecutors and defendants wait longer for a stack of evidence that includes more and more 911 recordings.
Oh my God! Oh my God! It's my front door!
Since the Morton Act went into effect in January, APD's already understaffed communications division is suffering under a deluge of court-ordered requests for 911 audio.
Do not hang up.
Records show in the 3 months prior, there were 766 recordings requested. In the 3 months after January 1st, the number has more than doubled to nearly 2,000 and continues to rise. At APD, that's already meant moving people around. A recent report showed a police dispatcher's been pulled away from their headset to help burn audio CDs for prosecutors.
And as a result, APD is looking to new technology like turning on features in APD's existing in-car data system. That way an officer can upload digital video evidence straight to a secure server. Now, ultimately, Assistant Chief Munguia calls the Michael Morton Act a good law, but he supports tweaking it, he says, so his officers can do what they do best, patrolling our communities.
Robert, what else is APD considering to get out in front of this law?
Well, we had a lot of back and forth between Chief Munguia and I about the benefit of adding new staff, and he says they're not going to do that this year despite the backlog of 911 calls, but they may look at spending some money to expand that server that stores all those digital videos as more and more come in, and more might be requested by defense attorneys.
All right, Robert, thank you very much. And we did some more digging and found it's not just police feeling the effects. The Travis County District Attorney and the County Attorney are as well. This summer, both court divisions are spending more than $150,000 to hire 8 staff, including paralegals and an evidence technician to coordinate with law enforcement. In the fall, it's expected they'll ask for even more full-time help. And we checked further and found county officials have already asked the state for more money to help help comply with this act. This comes after the state initially determined it would have no financial impact on local governments. I sat down with State Senator Rodney Ellis, the author of the bill, who says it's too soon to see a long-term impact of the law.
The statute has only been in place for a mere 6 months. Some of the issues that I have heard that have percolated up to me are things that can be worked out in the administrative process.
Ellis says one aspect of the law that does need tweaking is to add a penalty when prosecutors do not follow the rules. There is also a challenge with a companion piece of legislation, one that required DNA testing in all murder cases in Texas. Earlier on KXAN News at 6, we took a closer look and found all of those new tests are backlogging the system. Ellis says it might require more crime labs, and state law enforcement says it might need a bigger budget, which could mean more money out of your pocket next session. You can hear what Michael Morton, the man who inspired this legislation, has to say about these developments in my full report online right now at KXAN.com. Just search for this story on the homepage. And we will stay on top of how these laws play out. If you need something investigated, go to KXAN.com and click on Report It.